Have you ever felt dumb before? This guy certainly has. Before he got a stream deck, he decided to have a quick access to the mute button on his streaming software. So he decided to use the M key as his mute button. Not Alt M, not Shift N, not Control M, just M. Which turns out to be a pretty short-sighted decision because he would do this when he's playing the game. So he ends up being muted for 90% of the story quests and missing out on most of the live commentary and reactions. Which is a real shame because upcoming is one of his most favorite story battles so far in the game. And you guys are only going to be experiencing it through the voice of hindsight. That is me. But let's set some context for the scene ahead though, shall we? The Raiden Shogun, or the Electro Archon, its god. She runs the country of Inazuma with a pretty tight fist. Firstly, she has introduced the Sakoku Decree, which is totally not based off of the Sakoku period Japan at all, that ended up cutting trade and immigration in and out of the country of Inazuma, which totally will not hamper the country economically at all if done very suddenly. More pertinent to the story here is the Vision Hunt Decree, in which the Raiden Shogun is reclaiming all visions from people that have them within her borders. Keeping in mind the fact that early in the story chapter, the traveler has met several people whose visions have been reclaimed by the Shogun, and those are people that not only have lost the power to wield the elements as a result, many of them have also lost their memories or even gone through complete personality changes as a result. And both Traveler and Paimon have come to the knowledge and realization that a vision not only grants them the power to control elements, but also it represents their ambition. So implied within that is that a loss of a vision also symbolizes a loss of identity as well. So why is that important now? Well, up until this point in the story, it seemed like the Vision Hunt Decree wasn't going to be applied universally. For example, Ayaka next to the Traveler here, she's from the Kamisato family, which is one of the three great houses of Inazuma City. And she's also a cryovision holder. And nobody has gone after her yet. The key word being yet. Because unfortunately, the Raiden has now set her eyes upon Toma, who is the Kamisato House chief retainer and Ayaka's friend. He is a pyrovision wielder and is the first person that the Traveler and Paimon had met upon their arrival in Inazuma, and is one of the big reasons why they got settled in as quickly as they did. And now hearing that he's going to be the 100th person to have their vision stripped from them, and knowing the consequences thereof, well, we can't leave him alone now, can we? We gotta go rescue him. Unfortunately, Ayaka's hands are tied because she is the member of the Kamisato household, who is supposed to be loyal to the Raiden Shogun. And that's like the one story reason why I took her off from the party earlier that you just saw, and inserted Ganyu instead. Perfect excuse to use my primary DPS. Because I know we're gonna be in for a hard fight anyways. Traveler and Amber are also in the party because I always play with these two every time there's a story quest. And since we're going up against an Archon, Zhongli would be very helpful in this regard too. I figured as much anyways, so we're arriving at the statue now. So let's get the show on the road.
Kami no me ga naku tomo genso ryoku o atsukaeる。あなたは例外。例外。それは永遠の敵。 あなたを心臓へとはめ込みましょう。
Man, the Raiden Shogun really isn't scurrying around for this fight. And it's funny to think now that Venti and Zhongli were both pretty friendly back when we first met them. And now we're dealing with a deity who is not thinking twice about killing us. And you saw how as soon as I started moving, she's already blitzkrieging towards me. So right away I know that I'm gonna be reliant on Zhongli's shield skill for a majority of this battle. And with that, I also quickly realized that using aim shot bow users kind of tricky against an opponent who attacks this quickly and this fast. And for Ganyu in particular, the only reason why I feel comfortable using her AoE charge attack at all is because I have a shield up. And as soon as she blinks away like that, I'm already moving, assuming that she's teleporting behind me. And in hindsight, those electro bombs can be destroyed, but I figured it's faster to do shield up and just tank the damage. Having Amber or Traveler heavily invested right now is really hurting right now, as they're not doing much in the way of damage at all. And even Ganyu, her charge shot would normally take like a fifth or even a fourth of, like, say, Dvalin's HP off, but against Raiden, barely anything, just a few pixels. And the only boss fight that is comparable in terms of attack speed would be first and second stage Tartaglia. And even then, he has a lot more downtime between attacks than this. And at this point, you might be thinking, hey Sky, aren't you kind of stuck to your Zhongli and Ganyu tandem right now? To which I'm say, yeah, you think? Though to be perfectly fair, one of the downsides of using Zhongli with a aim shot bow user is that the visual effect of Zhongli's shield kind of obscures my aim a lot. And of course the taunt on Baron Bunny and Ganyu's flower isn't really working on Raiden, but then again, that should be expected. It never works on bosses, as well it shouldn't. Still, all things considered, I thought I was making good progress against Raiden. That was until this happened. That was the face of a man who just realized he was not meant to win this battle. And he knew this mechanic was coming. He knew that his skills and his elemental burst would be sealed away. He just didn't expect that to happen while Raiden still has 3/4 of her health left. So now here we are. Zhongli's last shield had just expired. I had brought Electro Traveler for story immersion purposes, but I didn't realize that Raiden's gonna have blanket immunity against this element. And before I can react much further, this happens. Well, we're all sorts of screwed now, aren't we?
On your feet, soldier! We are leaving!
彼をメガリレーの対象へ。次は必ずや人たちよ。
Yeah, not so much as even a shred of mercy from the Raiden Shogun. Both Toma and Traveler are now on the most wanted list, and they would be forgiven for wanting to hide and just otherwise get as far away from the city as humanly possible. But that was indeed the highlight of my Archon Quest playthrough for Inazuma, so to briefly summarize the rest of it, the Traveler and Paimon quickly traveled over to the meteorologically volatile Yashiori Island. We then met up with the Sangonomiya resistance that is fighting against the Raiden Shogun and Goro, their general. Got struck by lightning mid-conversation. Ow. Got struck by lightning again. Ow. Met up with Kujo Sara, this time on the field of battle, and she has her shogunate troops in tow. Beat down a couple of her best men in what was definitely an honorable 1v1 with no assistance from teammates whatsoever. Then the battle promptly began with blows being traded against both sides, though the rebels were most definitely the ones on the back foot. That was at least until their leader and famed tactician finally decided to show up, Chika Fujiwara from Love. I'm kidding obviously, it's Sangonomiya Kokomi. But hey, we got other people in the action too, like there's Beidou. Oh, and there's Kazuha too. And the combined reinforcements was enough to finally get the shogunate forces to retreat for the time being. We start to formulate a plan after the battle ends and... Right now. Oh, that was it.